From E.P.N and our digital broadcast center in New England, this is Your World Discovered. My name is David Ewen. My guests are Brendan Roberts, who's currently in New Zealand, and his wife, Elly Robert, who's currently in the Philippines. They are the author of Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. And let's welcome them to the program. So again, we have Brendan Roberts, who's connected to us all the way from New Zealand, and Elly Roberts, who's connected to us all the way from the Philippines. First of all, Brendan, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And also, Elly, welcome to you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have both of you here today. And for a moment, we're going to be talking about the book, Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. Brendan, could you hold up the book and tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I can do indeed. This is it. It's Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. And it's amazing because it's really touching hearts deeply, which is really humbling for both of us because we believe that God really inspired us tremendously through the book. It's been a wonderful opportunity to even get feedback from people that have said that they've laughed as well as cried reading the book. And they've also been, one person was saying they even received the will to continue living after reading the book, after suffering severe depression. And we've also, the messages we talk about in it are about purity and about chastity. So it's really going against the flow of society, but really touching hearts tremendously, which is really awesome. And not only that, but we use scripture quite a bit within the book and to introduce the chapters especially. And we also use poetry to touch hearts. And Elly's a wonderful writer, and she's also tremendous in writing poetry to touch hearts. So we're really excited. On Amazon, we've got five-star reviews already. And the book has only been out about a year now, just over a year. And Elly, is there anything else you'd like to say in relation to Worth the Chase?
Well, Worth the Chase really is a blessing. And it's really amazing how it has been touching hearts.
And tell us a little bit about your contribution. What did you put into the book, Elly?
Well, I really felt a strong calling from God to minister to His beautiful women. And nowadays, women see their worth according to how men see them, instead of how God sees them. So what I really want to bring out is the message that women are priceless, that we are worth the chase, and that we should always work on being Miss Right instead of seeking love in the wrong places. That's it.
And Brendan, tell us a little bit about your contribution and what had you contributed.
Sure. First of all, I want to explain that the book is two books in one. So the first book is Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way, and that's in relation to the woman's perspective. And then we've got Worth Chasing, and that's Pursuing Love God's Way. So that's the man's perspective. The book is about self-giving love, forgiveness, healing of the brokenhearted, and respecting oneself as God's child, as well as respecting others as created in the image and likeness of God. And that's why it's really touching hearts. We've got testimonies of people that have had broken hearts, and it's amazing because that's inside the book. And then we're getting feedback from people that have had broken hearts and have received healing in relation to the book. We've got someone who's a single mum, and she shares her struggles, and also someone who was a mistress and then had a conversion back to the Lord. And these are really touching hearts. And we've also had someone from America that shared their testimony of being pressured into having an abortion. And so it's something that's part of why people were being touched deeply. But not only that, we start the book with a love letter from God for women, and we have people crying from reading that letter. And when Elly told me we were writing the book, and she was saying she was felt God tell her a love letter, and she felt God saying that it should be in the book as well. And she said, "Why don't you write one?" I thought, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." But it wasn't until about 3 days later that I just had my one thought. I can't remember exactly what the thought was, but then I thought, I better write this on my phone. And here I am tapping away with one finger on the phone while it's connected into the wall charging. And I'm using the notes, and I end up writing 3/4 of a chapter of what God wanted to say to men. And that's also inspiring people. And so we also talk about total surrender to God, because it's so important that we surrender our lives and we surrender our hurts. And it's also really important that we surrender, including our love life, because often young people, especially, and young adults, and even older, they get disheartened because they feel like, what is God doing in relation to my love life? And sometimes people try to separate that away from God as if they're hiding it as well. And we offer great hope, because there are people that fall in the area of their human sexuality, and we explain to them that they can be pure again spiritually by seeking forgiveness, by repenting. And so that's also offering great hope to people. And we're really delighted and really humbled with that as well. Now, my contribution is I offer my humour. So you'll find even in Elly's book, Worth the Chase, that I'm putting in little quirky bits, and people even write to us and say, "Oh, thanks for that. I was laughing reading your quirky humour." And also, I have a chapter of saying, I think it's in relation to what women, I should really find it, but we can just bear with me 1 minute. Or should we switch back to Elly?
While you're looking for that, let's
Yes.
go to Elly and give us an idea, give us a sense, Elly, what the feedback has been. Give us an idea, a little bit more than what we've already discussed already. First of all, what was what you expected, and then what was the actual result of the feedback? And so we can see how much greater than what you expected the feedback was.
Wow. Well, it was really amazing because when I started writing the book, I dealt with my insecurities as well. So as a woman, I am also being touched. Like each chapter made me cry. So to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really written by God. This is not me anymore. Because I was really convicted to share my experiences, my dark past, everything really that I didn't want to share to the readers. But God just really talked to me and wanted me to write everything that I need to write. And then when my friends bought a copy, they told me that they forgot that I was the author. They told me that they really felt that it was God. And then they really cry. Like every chapter, they can really relate to it because I'm talking about insecurities. I'm talking about us women, how we compare ourselves with other women, and how we see ourselves according to how men see us. Like I should be beautiful. I should be with the standard of the media or the standard of the world. I should give myself to the man so that he would love me, things like that. So I really inspire women in that book that they really just have to be themselves, their beautiful selves, and that they can really be beautiful through the radiance of God. So it's so amazing that women now will contact me and they will tell me, Ellie, I have a problem. I have this guy courting me and I don't know if he is the right one for me. So it's really amazing because I didn't expect. So it comes to expectation. I didn't expect that women would confide to me, that they would tell me their problems. But that's exactly what happened. So after reading the book, they would contact me, they would get in touch. Even people who just see our post in our FB page, they would contact me and say, oh, Ellie, I saw your quote and I really felt in my heart that I need to tell you about my problem. And then it's so amazing to be able to comfort people and to be able to help them and to be able to walk with them in their spiritual journey. So it's really too far from my expectations. I just expected that they would be blessed through reading the book, and I didn't know that God would use me as a minister, as a counselor to them. So it's really amazing how God has pulled me out from my comfort zone and really just be the kind of woman that He wanted me to be.
So that's a testimony in itself. Let's go back to Brendan, who was looking for a passage to read in the book. Again, we're talking with Brendan Roberts, calling from New Zealand, and also Elly Roberts, calling in from the Philippines. They are both the author of Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. And we go back to New Zealand, where we follow up with Brendan Roberts.
Okay, thank you. What's also really important to emphasize is that we met in an adoration chapel in Manila, and it was 30 minutes after Elly was praying, she was even crying, and she was begging God for a writing mentor. Then I walk into the chapel, and I look over my shoulder, and in my heart I go, wow, she's beautiful. And so I gave her my calling card, and then she contacted me later that day, and we became best friends very quickly. And it's really amazing because I was the answer to God's prayer, and yet at the same time, God tremendously blessed me with a co-author and a book which could touch hearts really deeply. And so it's my fifth book. And in relation to what I was talking about before, it was what not to discuss with your girlfriend is one of the parts of the book in which I put in my quirky humor. And I say, I'm sure, brothers, you've wondered what the ladies do in the comfort room or toilet. In other words, why they spend what seem like hours, and sometimes it's after a movie. And I said, or why do they have to go into the bathroom like it's the movie Noah's Ark 2x2? Because it's something that men wonder, why do they always have to go in when we can go in on our own? And then I explain that they'll go in and they'll discuss the movie endlessly, and us men are hanging out there waiting and waiting. But other aspects of the book I talk about is do real men go to church? Because it's really an important discussion, because it's also one that women find really hard to get their men to go along to church. And it's been amazing because people have been buying multiple copies, even from us in the Philippines privately, and also in some of the stores in the Philippines where we've released it. And so that's really exciting. So we're also really excited to be able to reach more and more hearts. So we also talk about such things as, listen, Lord, your servant is speaking, because often we want to do all the talking. And it's so important that we listen to what God wants to say to us, how he wants to direct our lives. And it's also tied in with the aspect of surrendering our lives to the Lord. And it's so important to surrender ourselves so that God can really guide us and control our lives. And what's so amazing is that when Elly asked me to be a writing mentor, I was encouraging her to write at least 5 pages a day. And what's so remarkable was this is her first book, and she was able to finish her part of the book in just 6 weeks. And so it also gives people a lot of hope who have that dream and that passion of writing, but think it's too big and they put it off for another day. If you just can set yourself a goal of writing a certain amount each day, you will reach it. And that's what's so awesome and so exciting. And we're really excited what God wants to do through this book. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to touch hearts deeply. We've had people saying not only are they inspired, but they're like waiting for a sequel because of how we fell in love. And that was in relation to my brother suddenly died. So we'd been best friends for like 5 months. And then I heard suddenly my brother died back in New Zealand, and that's what drew us closer together. And it's so amazing because God turned that tragedy into something truly beautiful.
Now, it sounds like this book is more than just a book because it's really a sense of ministry, and because it very much has testimonies involved, and also it communicated in a way that speaks the language of the world. Love, humor, and sharing.
Yes.
So with that being done, this project changed you. Tell us, and again, I'll remind for our audience that Brendan Roberts and Elly Roberts, Brendan is calling from New Zealand, Elly is calling from the Philippines. They are both the author of Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. Tell us how this book, not only through revelation, but in what way has it changed you so that you can be a better minister? I understand
Sure.
how you became a better person, and I understand. How did this make you a better minister of the word?
It's really interesting that you asked that question because we talk in the book about a really humorous example where we're just chatting as best friends, and I was saying how before I met Elly, I was quite flirtatious. So I was flirty in the Philippines because surrounded by so many beautiful women. And at that instant, this woman walks past us in a very tight skirt and high heels, clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop. And we both looked at her at the same time. And we both laughed because the timing of God was just perfect. And she didn't even look. She would have heard, we're sure she would have heard the word, flirting. And yet she just didn't miss a beat in her high heels and just kept on walking. And we just both laughed. But that's just an example that I went from someone that was being flirty to someone that surrendered totally to God once again, and surrendered even that desire as also the pain of not having someone in my life to love and to cherish. And it was so amazing because God helped me to walk that path of purity in my heart once again, because it's not just only being a virgin, but it's living that life of purity, which is so important. And yes, it is really hard in today's world, but it's where we've got to, whenever we fall, we have to get back up again. And that's where we offer that hope that those who've fallen in that area of human sexuality in relation to sex, they need to repent and to seek God once again, because He offers us a new life. He offers us new chance.
And the same question goes to you, Elly. Elly, what we have is this book that has turned into a ministry, but how has the book turned you not only a better person, but a better minister of the gospel? How has this made you be a better preacher, be a better minister, be a better counselor?
Well, the book taught me to be a better minister by going out from my comfort zone. Like now, I can already deliver talks about purity. So I talk to young girls. They are abused. They are molested by their own family members. So I was able to speak to them. I was able to give them hope through the book. So I got parts from the book and shared it to them. And I think the most important thing is God taught me to be more prayerful. And prayer is very important to be a good minister of the Lord, because to me, I really believe that beautiful things happen when you pray. And no matter how difficult the problem of the sharer is, whenever I run to God and I ask Him for wisdom and what should I say, because it's not easy receiving questions about life, especially people who are depressed. So it's very important that you really advise them from wisdom from the Lord, not just your own, because I really believe that God is the one who gives wisdom. So, for example, I have a friend who asked me, Ellie, what should I do? I'm over 40 and I still don't have a love life. What is God's plan for my life? I'm so depressed, things like that. So, during these times, it's really hard for me to answer. So, what I do is I tell her that I will pray for you. Let me go to the Lord. Let me run to the Lord. And when I have what I need to say, then I will tell you. So it's really amazing how the book helped me to be prayerful, to intercede for other people. And interceding for other people is very powerful. And prayer is very important to be a good minister of the gospel.
And again, we're talking with Brendan Roberts, who's calling in from New Zealand, and Elly Roberts, who's calling in from the Philippines. They are both authors of Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. My question to you, Brendan, is during a ministry process, one of the goals is to create a revelation where the person that is being preached to reaches a higher level. Some people also refer to it as a different dimension, which obviously is another form of a higher level. What effect in this fashion have you seen some readers take when accepting and reading this book?
Sure. In relation to promotion, we're really only, I believe, at very embryonic stages. But one example, or a couple of examples we've heard from readers is people have ended wrong relationships, and that's what really touches our heart. That people realize that it's not worth continuing to sin when we can live lives of purity. It's not worth holding on to people and using them at times as well, or being used, that our dignity is so much greater. We've also had people surrendering to the Lord and drawing closer to the Lord through the book. But we're really excited because we know the more publicity we get, the more we're going to hear of hearts that are being really deeply touched. And that's what's really exciting. When we were writing the book, I could feel that God would use it for people to end wrong relationships or toxic relationships, you could say, because these are relationships that people struggle with, and that's what's so wonderful, that in the book we have real stories where people are going through the struggles and that people will really identify with it. We also have people that have been abused, so we're really excited that the more publicity we get, then we're going to hear from people that are going to be able to have this book in their healing process, like the person that was suffering greatly from depression. So we're just we're surrendering this to the Lord because this is His work and this is His mission. We're both missionaries, so we're sort of like discerning: does God want us to continue writing full time, or does He want us to go back into the workplace, for example?
And now my question to Elly is, what is your next step? A process like this changes people. What is your next step in your ministry that you were not expecting before you wrote this book?
Well, what I wasn't expecting really is to be invited as speaker. So just this coming September 27th, I will be speaking to the youth. And though it's all about work ethics, but they want to put in what I have written in the book. And it's really amazing because before I was really shy and I didn't want to do promotions, I didn't want to do talks, but God really is calling me to a higher level of trust. And He is telling me that I will be speaking His words, that I should not be ashamed, that there's nothing to be insecure about, because He will just tell me the right words to say. Now, for me, that is really going to the courage zone, because it's so hard to be a minister. It's so hard to be speaking to the youth or to single professionals, or we've even spoken to couples already. We have this Couples for Christ community, and we were able to speak to them and to inspire them. So, because also before I wrote the book, I really felt a calling from the Lord. So I even resigned from my corporate job. I even left my job to be able to be a full-time writer. And as what Brendan mentioned earlier, I was praying to the Lord. I was crying because before writing the book, I was really so down. I was at my lowest point because my loved ones suddenly died. They died tragic deaths. And I was also supporting my sister in her college education. So it's so hard. It was so hard for me to give up that job. However, I prayed to the Lord. I said, God, give me a writing mentor. And when I opened my eyes, I saw Brendan. So I really see God's hands everywhere. He's really working for this book to be out. And it's amazing how He is calling us both to a higher level of faith through this book.
My guests today are Brendan Roberts, who's calling in from New Zealand, and Elly Roberts, who's calling in from the Philippines. They are both the author of Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. And finally, as we wrap things up with Brendan, first of all, we've got to work on getting a plane either going from the Philippines to bring Elly to New Zealand, or Brendan, we've got to get you back. But now that you two will be together, if you could hold up your book again so that our viewing audience can see it on the radio broadcast. Just a reminder, people can find it on Amazon. Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. And Brendan, tell us what the next step for this book and also the next chapter in your life with Elly, Brendan and Elly together in your ministry as we wrap up in the last couple of minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're really excited because it's in God's hands totally. We're working on promotion, so we're looking on finding ways to for publicity in relation to radio stations and also partnering with organizations, because we even have pro-life pregnancy. I've got one friend in a pregnancy center in America, and they were touched by it, especially the testimony of the woman that was forced into having an abortion. And so we also believe this would be great for pro-life organizations. So we're in the process of trying to contact some and just seeing how we can really get the word out there. And that's where we also want to appeal to the listeners and also those who are watching this to please get a copy and spread the word, because we're really amazed how people were getting multiple copies to give away to bless others. We even had someone in the Philippines buy 17 copies, which is just amazing, just to bless others because they were deeply touched by it and could see that hearts could be changed through it. Because we believe hearts are being transformed, and that's by God's grace. It's not by us. We're just God's hands and feet, you could say, because this is His work, and that's where we trust totally in Him. So in relation to Elly coming to New Zealand, well, we want to speak around the world, and we want to trust where God's going to send us, because we are His hands and His feet, and we want to do His will.
Again, my guests have been Brendan Roberts, he's calling in from New Zealand, and Elly Roberts, his wife, calling in from the Philippines. Brendan, it was nice to have you on the program, and Elly, let me first thank you, Brendan.
Thank you very much. And just to tell the readers, I'm the author of 5 books in total. So we have quickly God, Fact or Fiction, which is exploring both science and religion. That's on Amazon. Crusades Rediscovered, and subtitle is In the Light of Human Sexuality and Our Creator, and Set Free, and Born to Be Free. These last two about my missionary experiences in Germany and Russia 25 years ago.
And those are books we'll be talking to Brendan about his writing, and also the latest book, Worth the Chase, Finding Love God's Way. And Elly, I wanted to also thank you for joining me on Your World Discovered.
Well, thank you so much as well. It's really been a pleasure being here, and it's really amazing to be able to share to our listeners how God touched our lives through the book. And more power to this program. And it will be included in our prayers.
God bless you both. From our Digital Broadcast Center in New England. From E.P.N, this is Your World Discovered. My name is David Ewen. God bless you all. Thank you for coming. This is E.P.N.